The world has changed profoundly from what it was, and there is new growth here. We now have cherry trees. And this is definitely new. I have no idea what you're talking about. Does the power of Silk Touch allow me to grab these? Yes! Ah, they're adorable! I love them so much! Aren't they neat? Isn't it? Incoherent elf noises continue. I will need to find a use for these cherry trees, because they are just so good. Now, since I was planning on inviting some poor fools to win fabulous prizes and also a wither, I should make it easier for them to reach me. Which means I think it is time for us to pull out, once more, the nether map. And go from here, figuring out what an actually good way of connecting to the nether hub is, instead of my current commute by way of a fortress. So, without further ado, let's pull up the map. So, this is the current local layout of the nether, approximately. Origin Valley, my haphazard path, with a couple different routes from the fortress to my house, and with drawn on here approximately the lines of the main nether highways. Now, I'm going to propose that instead of having this awkward, curving wander, if I wish to have visitors actually able to find my house, we just put in a nice straight line directly south, or as close as we can while respecting the landscape. So we're looking around this cozy area of Nether Lake for an area where we could put in an official portal. Now, am I feeling that nook in the wall? This? I suppose this could use being cleaned up. Now that section of wall keeps tempting me, looking very portal-shaped, except for the fact that it's actually on a diagonal. How dare it? Let's clean up that indent and make that where I'm putting in a more public nether portal for people trying to get to my game show out of my industrial district. And now that introduces two questions. Or does this work mechanically, i.e. will it light? And does this work aesthetically? i.e. can I make this look... Does it look nice, and can I make it look nicer? So I need some flint and steel to test whether or not that works mechanically, but in terms of does that work aesthetically, I think it very much does, and I like it. As might be this build's running refrain, it probably would have looked better if I had a better plan, but I still think that this works. For nether portal tucked into the side of the landscape while still being in my build theme, and incorporating a little bit of the cute little cherry wood. So, I'm willing to say that that is solidly a good enough, cute little nether portal. Let's pick back up my shulker of excess tools, stash my building supplies, and work on seeing if I can iterate that portal to be a little bit closer to my industrial district. And failing that, let's go put in some nice roads. Things I do not need to have anywhere near as much of in my inventory right now as I currently do. Fire res potions that I no longer need since I'm no longer swimming in that open lake. No, I will not explain how my guests are supposed to actually get into any of the locations. That's for them to figure out. So, let's work on designing a general purpose roadway. Now let's just get this road up above the treetops, because that'll make it easier to lay it out. And here in the overworld we have no respect for the scenery. And oh boy, this is going to be skulk heavy, but that's what I get for deciding to run immediately with a time-space block that had been brought to my attention. Okay, I changed my mind, no bottom trim on this. Sometimes we can put in bottom trim, but I think this is a case where it's better served not having the bottom trim. Is that obnoxiously out of palette? Yes, yes it is. Does it work any better if I move this one block inwards? Or is it still obnoxiously off model and out of palette? That's still obnoxiously out of palette. Shame. I want to use you, cherry wood. I want to love you. But I just realized I have another potential way of incorporating cherry wood in this, which will not make it any less obnoxiously off palette, but will at least make it blend more seamlessly with the general design, which is to say, my fence trick. Now, if I wanted to stay on palette, this would probably be Crimson Nether Stem, or whatever the actual name for that is. But since I want an excuse to use my cherry wood, I think I would much rather use this. You know what? That's interestingly horrifying. Okay, and actually, I put them in at 2 wide spacing, but I think that while I use that just fine on my house, for my bridges, I want 3 wide. And I'm doing a lot of micromanaging on individual modules of this design, because once I've gotten the individual modules done, and a design I'm happy with on an individual module, all I have to do is build it several hundred times, and as a Minecraft player, I'm good at that. I think it looks better having the lantern there. The trick is figuring out how to put the lantern there and still have it work. Because the real answer I want is both. But of course, both is not allowed. And this is the worst possible module out of this set for me to be doing this experimenting with, but shush. So, I now have 3 questions. How is it that I manage to continuously drop my axe? 2, will I be able to recover it, given that it is in fact netherite and thus will not burn? And 3, how miserably embarrassing is it that this is the 3rd time this season I have dropped my axe on being startled? How is it that this is a thing that has happened 3 times to me thus far? How? Now with my axe successfully recovered, let's resume building. Additional question. How is it that I forgot that I needed to bring my stone cutter out over here to make my bridge better? So, when I had asked for suggestions on how to fix this section of bridge, the first suggestion was to add some mangrove trapdoors and signs as a line on along it, which then turned into this little formation suggested. And that had been integrated with a design, and Loon had decided to integrate that in with some stairs. Now, on my tweak to Loon's design, I'm convinced that we just do this entire thing in that cute little S shape of stairs, and that we save these trapdoors for some other occasion. No, I like it better with the gap. However, I do like the idea of putting in mid-area... Ooh, I like that as mid-area reinforcement. And my original plan for this had also involved bringing the skulk all the way on across, but I love so much being able to see through the pillars on this bridge. And do you think I have enough skulk to waste it filling in the entirety of my bridge design? No, we'll just do the skulk in certain specific areas, like the stairs. Now, I do still want my bridge to be visible at night with some hanging lanterns, but I have no idea where I would put those, so I guess we will just continue having the lanterns on the top of the bridge. Because that, I feel, is still going to be beautifully visible, even without these lovely, lovely lanterns. And now, once more, I shall resume building, and you will probably hear from me when this entire bridge is done. So, I was crying in on who actually are the other doppelgangers on Unorthoblocks. Because if there's this Doppelgangers Association that apparently I don't qualify for, I had to find out who does. And I discovered I'm not the only evil doppelganger on this server either. So we're about to go pay a visit to one Professor Plazma, in the interests of making sure that he understands not to burn down the server without consulting with me first, and to possibly coordinate with my fellow villainous doppelganger. If we are actually capable of working together, since I believe it is tradition for villains to not be able to work together at all. Now, of course, just because I've seen this in my scrying does not mean I actually know exactly where his little clockwork heart is, but hopefully I should be able to find him. I believe that the easiest way of finding Professor Plazma is sneaking on through here to the other side of the mountain. And of course, I was looking for a secret base all this time. And this is why you do not trust things you see in the dreaming. You have to verify them for yourself.
Hello.
Hello. It is my understanding that I am not the only doppelganger on this server, and in fact, that you are not the normal plasma hero, Professor Plazma.
You would be correct there. I am not the ice-related plasma hero.
Tell me, what is my fellow doppelgangers' plans here?
I mean, mostly came here because the world I was on was losing its spark of life. But I came here to continue unfinished business with a few of the residents here on Unorthoblock.
I suppose I can respect that. So, my understanding is that often us evil doppelgangers tend to be particularly pointed about our originals. Would you happen to be targeting the local plasma hero?
It was not originally on my to-do list, but I suppose I could add it.
Was just a passing fancy, but the locals do keep insisting that the icy variant of Plasma Hero is our savior, our local hero, and I just feel like it is my duty then to mess with him a little.
Well, if you want to go pester him, honestly, I really couldn't care less. It's not me, after all, so if you're asking for permission, please go on right ahead.
Well, pleasure doing business with you, and making sure that, in terms of making sure that we don't muscle in on each other's territories, please do leave Lady Spring alone. She is mine to mess with.
Very well. My business is with Jam and Amelia. So I'll stay out of your way, and you can mess with my doppelganger, as you call it.
Yes, and I will stay out of your way. Have fun with your messing with them. I still don't like being being visible out in the middle of spawn on a bright sunny day. But also, he's messing with Amelia. How did he find the one person I would actually care about if he were messing with? But I did say that So, if I intervene, it will be as spring. And only in that guise.